Welcome everyone back to another episode of Q&A with Sharon's son George. I was my mother's caregiver after she was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. Sadly, she passed on 1/1/2020, so we started Together for Sharon.com in her memory and to advocate today for a cure for all those still battling PD and their families because I believe, and I believe our beautiful and incredible guest also agrees, no one is ever alone in this fight for a cure. Today's guest is someone who means the world to me. I feel again that we're already so close, even though this is the first time we're really meeting, which is why I do love these shows. It brings so many individuals who really just want to spread awareness around the world for good reasons. We don't literally want anything in return, except I do selfishly declare I want a cure for Parkinson's. So that's the only thing we want in return. So I wanted to just do an incredible welcome to Michael. It's just finally an honor to get together and advocate with one another.
Yeah, no, I really appreciate you letting me come on here and meet you for the first time. But like you said, it seems like we've known each other forever
Yeah.
from the different forums. But yeah, I mean, I 100% with you that the only reason I do what I do is to look for a cure.
No, I appreciate it, and it's such an honor again to have you. And now let's really get right into the journey that you've been on, which is an incredible one, but also as a really impressive advocate, even battling Parkinson's, which I'll leave the journey for you to tell us all. I just wanted to again welcome you, and maybe you could tell the listeners a little bit about your background and what brought you to the world of Parkinson's awareness.
Okay, back in 2007, I started getting a slight tremor in my right hand. Um, and the pinky, the thumb, the pill roll tremors, started getting a little bit of all that. And at the time, I was dealing with my dad, who had had terminal lung cancer. And so I had found out, well, I started the journey, and it is a journey of trying to get diagnosed with Parkinson's or MS or whatever it was going to be. And so I had the stress of my dad, dealing with him, and the stress of trying to get diagnosed with. I didn't know what it was going to end up being. Um, so I was just at a basic neurologist, and he kind of was like, "Well, you have Parkinson's. Here's some Cinemet," and I was like, "What? I have what?" And he didn't run any tests or anything. So I went back to my primary care, said, I don't like this doctor. I want to go to a new one. Um, and I ended up getting with Dr. Omidvar, who's local in the Long Beach, Los Alamitos area around here. And seeing him has absolutely changed my life because I walked in, and just for me walking down the hallway, he came into the office right after. I mean, he must have been following right behind me. He goes, "So how long have you had Parkinson's?" I'm like, "I don't know that I have it. I'm here to be tested." He goes, "Well, you have it." And so that was a little odd because he just was watching me walk, and the lack of arm swing on the right side, the shuffling of the feet, the little bit of tremoring that I had in my right hand. But I still had to go through all the, urinalysis, MRIs, everything else that you have to do to get an official diagnosis. So that didn't actually come until 2008, a year later. And during all that time, my dad had passed away in April of 2007. So I'm dealing with my dad passing away, dealing with a diagnosis of Parkinson's, and it just was devastating. So I just kind of dealt with it the best I could. And then I was like, I can't do this alone. So I started up well, at the time it was just called YOPD support group. Um, Met a few people. Then I started growing, and I needed help. So I had this. Vinny Giannato was the first person that helped me. And unfortunately, Vinny passed away a few years ago. Um, but Michelle Lane, Kirsten Yeager, Joe Narciso, they all jumped in and helped me. Michelle's the one who told me about Parkinson's Action Network way back when. And so I joined up with them, went back to Washington, D.C. We met, I mean, I meet Michelle, Joe, Kirsten, everybody for the first time, which was pretty neat getting to see. It's like I've told family, friends that it's like the only time I've really ever felt comfortable in my own skin is when I'm around other people with Parkinson's. That's since changed, but back then it was like, oh my gosh, there's hundreds of people that are exactly like me. And so that's when Michelle came up with the suggestion to start the Caregivers Forum. And then this Gretchen and Michael Church said, well, we need a DBS forum. And I'm just kind of like overwhelmed at that point. So I'm still trying to get the YOPD one off the ground. And I'm sorry.
No, I really appreciate you sharing that, and hopefully, if you email me those links, we'll add them to the show notes so everyone can also subscribe and add it. A lot of the things you said are just beautiful. I want to start first with sending love and support to the family. And I'm late, but sorry for your loss with your dad. We'll dedicate today in his memory.
Thank you.
And also, it's ironic you mentioned Michelle because she's like my family. And I was literally with her live just a few weeks ago here in South Florida. I got the first opportunity to meet with her face to face, and it was a beautiful moment. So, we'll definitely mention Michelle too in this amazing show. But I just want to thank you for sharing your journey, but also inspiring so many. One thing that I admire most, not that it's all incredible, but is your advocacy working in Washington and really standing up for so many who might not have a voice. And even if they have a voice, might not be aware of how to use it or need other individuals like you to advocate on their behalf. And just before we got onto the meeting, I actually was speaking with the Department of Health in the United States office to try to bring more attention to Parkinson's throughout the country. And think people like us together and every one of you listening, writing to your politicians, your local, state, and federal representatives really makes an impact as we finally saw national plan to end Parkinson's passed just this few months ago. Now that I believe though the work really starts, because just because it passes, we all know that doesn't mean anything. It's making sure they continue on with it and ensure that it's actually helping others. So again, I just wanted to not just commend you, but thank you for all the work you've done. And you've been doing it, for decades. So that's incredible. Individuals like me sadly lost my mother only 4 or 5 years ago, but I do wish I had known more back then, 10 years ago, to have stood next to you on the steps of Washington. But there will be more opportunities, and I hope one day we get to meet and I can give you, instead of a virtual hug, a real life one.
Yeah, exactly. That
So
would be incredible.
we have so much to discuss. Hopefully, we get to it. But even after the lights and cameras and the paparazzi are gone today, this conversation has to continue till there's a cure. But I wanted to, actually, I'm going to share a few things. And as we do that, I do want to also ask you a few questions. But I want to thank you too for this beautiful interview. And it's kind of sad, but incredible how time flies. We met July 20th, a year, more than a year. So it's
Yeah.
amazing how much we've now grown together and come. But if you, everyone listening, feel free to go to togetherforsharon.com and you can find much, much more in depth with Michael and a beautiful interview he did with me about his background, how to reach out to him, which is important, and also how to join the Facebook, which I'm going to also share if it'll open. So this is one of the important areas. Of course, I went somewhere else, so hopefully we'll be able to share it after. But I also wanted to say, please support all that Michael does. He's on X. You can go to MD Sweet PD and you can see I follow him for a long time. And also one more important, which you mentioned, you started to, but I want to touch a little bit on is the incredible ambassador work you do with the Davis Finney Foundation, Michelle was also on our show and we discussed, but maybe you could talk a little bit about the Davis Finney Foundation, what made you want to work with them? I know you work with many, so, but was there a specific thing that they offer that just made you feel at home?
I would say Davis Finney to me, it just felt more natural. It wasn't some big corporation. And I mean, nothing wrong with Michael J. Fox or, um, well, pretty much Michael J. Fox, because they're the standard bearer out there, or even the Parkinson's Foundation. Davis Finney is more grassroots oriented. Um, they're very into the advocates, ambassadors, and getting out there. And like Marty Acevedo, she's down in San Diego, and she's just doing an incredible job with Davis Finney. And I'm looking forward to this coming Saturday in Los Angeles is a Parkinson's meeting that I actually just found out about before I went on with you. It's in downtown Los Angeles, so I'm gonna go up to that and see if I can learn anything. See if I can hand out some of the Davis Finney paperwork, because they have some great tools to navigate your Parkinson's. If it be yourself, if it be your caregiver, or you're just a friend of the family, they have a lot of really great tools
No,
uh, to be
yeah,
able to navigate.
yeah, when you do find out, we'd love to share it, and anything you learn or want the public to know about, feel free to reach out to me and be happy to share that too.
Okay.
And then
Yeah.
a lot of research, because I do a lot with the show before to prepare, is some of the incredible work here you did back in 2019. So you're really at the forefront of the beginning of a lot of this. And I'm sure even before this article, but you worked with the Michael J. Fox Foundation. We've had Mr. Thompson on the show, which was a beautiful conversation. And I was lucky enough in South Florida to be one of the representatives to speak to our local congresswoman at the time to support the national plan to end Parkinson's disease. And not to get into more about me because the show is for you and about you, but never forget that, we only had 3 minutes with the congresswoman. We had a few people on the call. It was me, two other individuals. They had Parkinson, but I had this 3 sentences. It's on my website together, but Sharon, everyone can actually recorded my speech. And I only had like 3 sentences or 3 minutes, sorry. And I practiced it for many times, and I'm a lawyer and cop, and I have a big mouth, so I'm proud of it. And I speak in public speaking a lot. I love it. I love being with people. But I remember there was one sentence, and again, I said it 10 times, but I and I say it today, which is not easy. But I remember one of my mother's favorite times was playing or blowing bubbles in the backyard with her 3 grandchildren. And because of Parkinson's, we no longer could do that. And I fell apart and was crying on the call. And afterwards, I won't say who, but someone did thank me for that because they really wanted to show the impact. And if you're just out there saying stuff and not meaning it, it's not the same. So it went well. She supported it, of course. Hopefully, it's not just because of that. And it passed. So we were all part of history. But it's still something that haunts me, every day, even more holidays that my mother no longer has a seat at our table due to this disease. And that's really individuals like you who are out there fighting drive me to want to keep going until the cure is at everybody's doorstep. So maybe you could touch a little bit about your time in Washington. And, I wish there were more ways for everyone to physically go to Washington and get involved, but it's not easy. It's not like you can show up and they'll take you. I
Right.
and I wrote to President Biden, got that funny form response. I've reached out to probably 15 legislators to come on the show, and we were grateful to have Senator Rick Scott and also Paul Tonko, the Democrat House of Representatives from New York. So just having them was really life-changing. But the others, unfortunately, it's tough to get them. But maybe you could touch a little bit about that whole experience, and I think the listeners would really be in awe and love to hear more about that.
Okay. It was funny how it came about because, like I said, Michelle joined up with my YOPD group, and she's like, "Hey, have you heard of Parkinson's Action Network, or as we like to call it, PAN?" I was like, "No, never heard of it." And she's like, "Well, here's what we do: we go to Washington D.C." And once she said we go to Washington D.C., she had me hooked because I realized that one, I'd never been, I'd love to go. Two, to be able to sit and meet with representatives like Pete Aguilar, Representative Lowenthal, who's not around anymore, he retired. But Pete Aguilar is one of the biggest proponents for ending Parkinson's, and he has no relation to it. He has, I believe it's like his mother-in-law has MS. I don't quote me on that, but I remember a family member, and it's been a while since it was 2019 was the last time we were back in Washington, DC.
Right.
But we go, you have some classes that you have to do. And you'll have like Cory Booker came and spoke to us one time. Valerie Jarrett came and spoke to us another year. So it was just kind of neat being able to see all these different, I mean, because I was there from President Obama through President Trump, and then the January 6th kind of destroyed it all for us. Because that's the last time was September of 2019 when we went. But it's being able to meet one-on-one, face-to-face with um, a representative and be able to tell your story about if it be, me and my journey. And my goal is yeah, I want a cure in my lifetime, but I'm 56. So I'm also realistic that I just don't want my children and my soon to be 11 grandchildren to have to deal with this Parkinson's disease, because it's not something I would wish upon anybody. I mean, I remember Michael J. Fox being diagnosed, and it was like, what? He shakes. I mean, so what? But hearing stories about how actors or voiceover actors, they lose their jobs because your voice is one of the first things to go.
Yeah.
And like Joe Narciso, he used to be an actor, do a lot of voiceovers. He no longer can do it because, I mean, Joe sounds like Joe to me, but um it just, he doesn't have that ability. And to listen to him tell his story to Senator Cory Booker, and like you said, you only had 3 minutes, so it's that elevator conversation that you're going to go 10 floors and you got to make your point in those that ride up. And so it's just, we go in, you sit down, and a lot of times it's not with the representative, it's with the health administrator for like Kamala Harris, Vice President Harris. When she was a senator for California, we met with her health liaison. We weren't able to meet in her actual office. We had to go out into the lobby of the Hart Senate building. And that was just, we were like, okay. So, and it threw us all off, but we made our point. Because I really believe that, meetings like that with Senator Harris, who is now our vice president for at least another month or two, um, I think that's why we were able to get the national end of Parkinson's registry taken care of, because it's that health liaison then goes back to the health administrator of her group, and then that person goes to Senator Harris at the time and discusses with her what they learned, what they saw. And one of my stories that I told about myself, that well, like I said, I was diagnosed in officially in late 2008, but I have, like I said, I have 11 well, I have 9 grandkids, 2 on the way.
Oh,
Um,
congratulations.
thank you. But they've never known a non-Parkinson's, as they call me, Papa.
Mhm.
So it's just like they laugh when they see old football pictures of me, or old videos that I've been able to round up on YouTube. and they're laughing. That's not you, Papa. You're not shaking. You're not, you're running. You're doing athletic things. So it's amazing for them to see me that way. And now it's like I'm, is my, I call my baby grandson, but he's not the baby anymore, Bryson. He
Mhm.
calls me Iron Man because I have my battery right here
Right.
for my DBS. So he's like, Papa, you're Iron Man. And that just made me the happiest person in the world to hear him call me Iron Man because he just loves superheroes.
Mhm.
So I guess I'm his superhero.
Well, you're also my superhero and so many others, and it's funny because I have a try to bring in like one quote every show, and when you're saying that, I thought about this. This is a Japanese proverb, and I don't want anyone trying this at home, but it says fall down 7 times, but stand up 8. And that's something that it sounds like not physically, I hope, but just kind of verbally you're doing, no matter what, pushes any of us down, we keep fighting. So again, I'm grateful for all the you do, but that story and taking us through it is unique, important, and one that we've never had on the show, even though we've had people like congressmen and senators. I really appreciate how you walked us through the whole experience, and I kind of felt like I was with you, and maybe in the future I will be someday. Maybe we can now turn a little bit more about Michael. And this is
Mhm.
where I would have my lightning sound or the drum.
Okay.
Wait, it didn't work last time, so we moved on. We have a very low budget, high on low. But so maybe you could list 3 words to describe who you are.
Uh,
That's the number one answer.
father, grandfather, and Parkinson's ambassador.
Thank you. What are some ways that you combat the disease today?
Um, well, DBS was the biggest help for me. Um, then I hardly take any medication anymore. And then I'm also going through physical therapy to kind of retrain my brain how to walk correctly. Because, as you said, fall down 7 times, get up 8.
Mm.
That's pretty much my life story right now.
But you actually brought up something, not to get off our question, that I never thought about. And, my mother had Parkinson's. We don't know or think it's genetic, but some days I do wonder if I'll get it. I don't usually fight for myself. I try to fight for others and in my mother's memory, but now I've been having a lot of twitching in my face here and other
Yeah,
things. And in the past, I've had fingers and they go away, but this is one I never told anyone that's been staying for a while. I'm not looking into it yet, but it's, you just, I'm so busy fighting for everyone else. I do forget myself. And that's one thing we do have to fight for the children too. So you just gave me 3 more reasons to fight even more, but there's not enough time in the day. So we need to be the superhero and Flash and stop time so we can advocate even
yeah.
more. I was wondering if you could tell us also, this is an important question to me. Obviously, you're an advocate in the face of a lot of the beautiful things that you're doing to advocate. But I wonder who helps you during times of struggle, because I like to bring those in your life and background out for a moment, not physically, but at least together, and thank them for their time and support to help support you to do all the amazing things that you do.
Yeah, I'd say, my wife has been an amazing support for me. Both my sons, Christian and Michael Jr. Um, my son's wife is just amazing. Her name is Denise. Her brother-in-law has Parkinson's. So I've gone to him and it's like, Ricky, you need DBS. He's like, no, no, no. Because he's a Hispanic male, and not to stereotype or anything, but Hispanics males, they're machismo, and
Mhm.
they don't want to, they think that getting a battery installed in your chest and electrodes in your brain, it'll make him lesser of a man.
Yeah.
So
I think by what you're doing and us talking gets rid of some of the stigma. My wife and family are Cuban, so I'm in the Hispanic world,
okay,
and married into, and I love the culture and everything about them. And they're tough, but so I do see what you're saying. But we also need more organizations out there for Hispanics. And also, I'm in South Florida. We're right near Miami. I went to the Miami Police Academy. So I was like the minority. I was the only guy there that wasn't able to speak Spanish, even though I took it for Diez Años. But I think it's important. Even you see a lot of things you say, you might not realize you're actually changing the world. And today, I hope I always say with each show, if we just reach one person out there, maybe in the Hispanic population that realizes DBS can help them, it's not about what you mentioned, then we've changed the world for the better. So thanks for bringing these topics out. Now I'm thinking of writing, blogs and a whole show on just that.
Yeah.
But I was wondering, how do you think, and I think we're doing it now, but how do you think we could better promote Parkinson's awareness, not just to the Parkinson's community, but to the world?
Well, I think one, your show's an incredible way to get out there for podcasts. Um, I mean, I have 3 groups on Facebook that I believe were near 30,000 members amongst all of them. The caregivers group, sadly, is the largest group out there. I always welcome everybody to the group every week. It's like, welcome new members. And
Mhm.
it seems the list gets longer and longer every week. And that it makes me happy in the aspect that, people are caring enough to go on to the group and learn more about Parkinson's from other caregivers. But then on the same breath, it makes me sad to see, oh my gosh, we just added another 120 people to this group. So that just absolutely devastates me on the same breath.
Yeah, I'm the same way. We started together for Sharon, the website, and I was hoping just 5 people would see it just to remember my mother, and I would have been fine
Yeah.
with that. But in 4 years, there's been over 40,000 people, and part of me is that's nice, but the worst part, that might be there's a reason, and I don't. Again, it's because it's growing, and I don't get into politics. I think we're all in this together, no matter what. But I was at an event recently in a room with people who are literally in the world of politics. I'm talking about like senators and things. And
Yeah.
I just mentioned it a few times together with Sharon, and I don't really usually bring it up because I don't know if they understand it. And shockingly, some of the people they said they knew about it because their family members have it, and I was shocked because it was. I'm talking about people we see on TV speaking, senators, politics, all this, both sides. So
Yeah.
all three, four, five, every side. We always say Parkinson doesn't discriminate. And as you know, I interviewed over 1,000 people around the world completely voluntary. And I was shocked to realize places like you don't even think about it, Iceland, Nova Scotia, Africa,
Oh,
people there are battling Parkinson's. And that's why I always say, not to be mean or forceful, but I use the word must. Like I believe we must or have to be a family in this fight for
yeah.
sure. We can all go on our own way, it's fine, but we're not going to reach the people we can together. And that'll always be my view. And I'm just grateful that you agree. And 99.9% of this beautiful community does. So thank you to everyone. Just to follow up or finish up, we have a few more. Some of the fun ones, I hope you'll agree. But who is your hero and inspiration?
Uh, well, it used to be Fran Tarkenton of the Minnesota Vikings,
Nice.
but honestly, I'd say my hero, my inspiration are kind of one and the same. They're my mom and my dad, because to watch them watch myself and another family member go through what we went through with Parkinson's. And my dad, he didn't have to see very much of me with it, but my mom, she passed away in 2012, so she did.
Mhm.
And so it's kind of like, I mean, I could just see her pain in her heart when I would walk in the door. And it's the one thing, if I can make a point
Please.
out of anything, is everybody looks at Michael J. Fox and they think, oh, that's a Parkinson's patient. And then they look at me and they're like, well, you don't have Parkinson's. You don't shake. You don't do this. You don't do that. There is not one. I mean, it's like you said, you interviewed Ted Thompson recently. He made a quote at one of our Michael J. Fox forums that he said, if you've seen one Parkinson's patient, you've seen one Parkinson's patient, because every single one is different. So, I mean, that's why I think it was hard for my mom to look at me and say, okay, does he have Parkinson's, or is it maybe MS? Is it maybe, something else? Is it essential tremor? Is it because I had another family member who had it as well, who was just like Michael J. Fox. He just shook all the time. But, that's the biggest thing, is I want to make sure everybody understands, just because a person isn't shaking constantly, maybe they had DBS, maybe their medications are working, or maybe they're a dystonia dyskinesia person.
Yeah, and that's a big thing we say, or I try to express that, my mother had a lot of internal tremor. So a
Yeah.
regular individual who didn't know Parkinson's wouldn't even know what that means. They think she's okay and not suffering. And that was one of the tougher things that we always discuss. Eventually, towards the end, unfortunately, she had the external, but never judge somebody. I was at Dunkin' Donuts. I usually don't eat that, and I was just getting coffee, but and I don't even like coffee, but I happened to be up the whole night as usual advocating. And there was a sign at the front that said, you might have something you're mad about, but the people next to you might be doing, struggling with something inside. So be kind. I love that. If you were asked to write a script to a movie about your life story, what would you call it, and what actor would play your role?
Oh, I'd love to say Brad Pitt,
I
but
see the similarity. I'll go.
yeah, but I just would call it My Crazy Life,
Mhm.
because I know that's kind of maybe a generic canned answer, but my life has been just crazy from the get go. I, like I said, I played football in high school. I played sports all through high school, and I just loved them. And I wonder if that had something to do with my Parkinson's, because I lost track how many concussions I've had, to be honest. Um, I also worked, my dad started a company in Carson City, Nevada, that they used a chemical called trichloroethylene to clean the big drums that his fiberglass poles would come out of. So I don't know, because then I also tested positive for the gene, the sticky gene, Lewy body, or not Lewy body. Yes, I tested positive for Lewy body, but I can't. The LARC2 gene, I tested positive for that as well. So was it that chemical that's been known to cause Parkinson's? Was it the concussions? Was it the LARC2? Was it a combination of everything? I drove myself crazy over that, trying to figure out what it was that caused the Parkinson's in me. But I finally gave up, because I just realized I was a dog chasing its tail.
All right. Again, I'm really grateful that you shared that and your time today. And please, everyone, support Michael and his ex. And I'm going to add all the links. Also, you can see his interview with me together for Sharon, and just put his name on a search for Davis Fitting. It'll come back with so many beautiful articles, and also, of course, on Facebook. But if you could leave the Parkinson's community today with some words of encouragement, what would they be?
I honestly believe we're in the final stretch before we find a cure. The national registry, I call it the registry to end Parkinson's disease, is so important, because that means that Capitol Hill, no matter who's on Capitol Hill, that they're going to understand that Parkinson's is important. I mean, you see the Susan J. Komen Foundation, the MS Foundation, all these different foundations. Parkinson's is finally broken through to make a point that we're here, we're not going anywhere. Like my shirt says, we do whatever it takes. We are unstoppable. We are stronger together. It's Pat Donahue and Michelle Lane made them. They, I don't know if you can see it says badass adores because we got them for our Minneapolis uh, forum with Davis Finney, and people get offended when they see badass adores, but it's it's just a way of saying that we're not going to stop. We're here. We're going to be in your face. We're going to not in a negative in your face, but we're going to make sure that you're aware. If you're a politician, if you're a mom that just is down the street, that we need your assistance.
Well, I really appreciate your time, and I hope you know I'm always going to be fighting right by your side, even if it's virtually at some point and maybe someday live, because you keep me going, and you're definitely somebody I think will inspire so many others who are either battling or caregivers or those who aren't diagnosed, because we need, again, everyone in this fight. Had a little message for you, Michael, and everyone out there listening. And again, please share this. We just want the world to know about this disease and these beautiful journeys, because I think we'll come closer to a cure. Hey, take the link, send it to every politician in the country. I think that would be a great idea. Unfortunately, it's just me. I don't have the time, and I've tried that for some of the people who sponsored the bill, and it hasn't been the easiest to get a response, which is for another show, which I'm surprised. But everyone has to make some dent. That if we all join together, I think again our voices are so much stronger. But Michael and everyone listening, we love you, we support you, we care a lot about you, and you're never alone. I, along with Michael, the Davis Finney Foundation, everybody out there, Michael J. Fox Foundation will advocate for you, and I feel together our voices are so much stronger. And I always end the show with saying I'm just getting started, because obviously Michael and I haven't just gotten started, but every time I meet a new individual battling it, or think of my mother, but also likely millions of people we've lost due to the disease, or maybe not due to the disease, but due to a complication. And also for those in the future and even currently diagnosed, we're not going to stop. And I love again what you said, Michael. I live, breathe, and will pass away one day with that belief. And I always hate ending the show sad, but as you might know, and everybody listening out there, it sounds odd, but this is I don't leave home without this on. I have multiple there. It's the tulip for Parkinson's, because I do feel it's part of my blood. It took my mother, but I won't let it take me and you and all my friends that have become like family in this community. And again, we're not taking a break. So after the show ends, we might shut the lights and the cameras, but Michael and I will still keep fighting. And I hope you'll join us in this mission. So thank you again, Michael. Thanks everyone for listening. Really, just an honor to be able to talk to you today.
I really appreciate the time. And like you said, it's never going to end because I'm going to get off here and I'm going to go into a Davis Finney meeting right when I'm done.
Well,
So,
let's tell them all we send our love to everybody there.
oh, I absolutely will.
And Michelle, of course, I'll talk to her too soon, but thank you again, Michael. Again, please support Michael and all his incredible advocacy. This has been another episode of Q&A with Sharon's son, George, but the fight continues on even after we click the end meeting. This conversation can't end here, has to be shared, and we have to keep fighting till the cure is at everybody's doorsteps around the world. So thanks again, everyone. We send our love, and we'll see you very soon. Thanks again. Thanks, Michael.
All right, thank you. Bye.